name's Ral and welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. And today I want to feature one of my intro builds that you see on my introduction. I'm going to feature, eventually we'll get to all of them. But as a subscriber request and a big thank you, I'm going to do this one for you there, CD scale models. You begged and pleaded and twisted my arm, and it's one of my favorite cars, grail kit of mine. I've got a couple of them, and if you've watched some other videos, you've seen that I'm building the Trans Am version, the red, white, and blue edition. This is the car that followed after it. This is the Mark Donahue edition 70 Javelin, which has an interesting story, especially considering at the time they had the Trans Am edition that they had just come out with, the red, white, and blue car. And then they managed to sign Roger Penske, and Mark Donahue stole him away from Chevrolet and signed him up for the 70 racing season in the Trans Am series. Don't really know how that happened. Haven't read the full story on all of that. But one of the interesting things about all of that is Mark Donahue actually has a degree in engineering, and he had designed the spoiler on the Z28, and he had also designed this spoiler for AMC. He did not care for the spoiler that was on the Trans Am edition that they were using, but to homologate it for racing, they had to build the cars, and they already had the one version going, and so they came out with this car and call it the Mark Donahue edition. And 2,501 of them were made. That's the number that's out there. And unfortunately, it is an easy car to fake because there's nothing in the VIN number to verify what it actually is. As long as it's a Javelin SST, and there are a number of differences between it and the other car. But so some of them being that the Mark Donahue edition, they were not all the same. Unlike the Trans Am editions, they were all 390, all 4 speeds, and they were all built exactly alike. No differences. The Mark Donahue version, you can get in any color you want. It came with a spoiler, the Mark Donahue sticker on the back, and the stripes here. And came with either the 360 or the 390 engine. So don't confuse the 360 with the Mopar engine. That didn't come out until 71. It was only a 2-barrel version because they had the 340 hypos. But don't insult an AMC guy and say that it's a Mopar 360, because it is not. It's an AMC 360. And even though it gets a little confusing a few years later, when AMC started to use the Chrysler 727 in their muscle cars and their Javelins, but the 360 is not. But this model represents a 390. But and automatics and manuals were available in them, and pretty much all the options. But they did come with the AMX hood, and they came with a spoiler. Vinyl tops were available, so many different options. The front chin spoiler, painted body color. So, the Mark Donahue versions are a little bit more clouded for what they are, but still an awesome car with the racing pedigree. But I figure I'd share some of the story of the car and what was going on, and it's kind of interesting that they would. I don't know why they only built 100 of the first Trans Am version, the red, white, and blue car, and whether or not they were planning to build a whole bunch more, or they just stopped and then switched to this car, this package. But a fairly expensive option, or suggested list, I believe, was $39.95. But pretty cool car. So to get more into this particular build, though, what this is yeah, it is based on the Johan kit, but there's really not much Johan to this one. It's actually, the foil's coming off here from handling it, but it's actually a resin kit. It's from Dencon. I'll post some photos up of this, but Dencon Resins, he local guy here, Matt Conte, he produced them. I don't know how many he made. I didn't even know about it. And he used to do Lookout Designs, Resin, and then he switched names and went to Dencon. And I don't believe he's producing anything resin-wise commercially, but I do know him. I've run into him. I've talked to him, but I didn't know he was actually producing this kit. I actually walked into Andy's Hobby headquarters here locally, and they had it on the wall, a pegboard in a bag. But all you got was, you got the body, the front and rear bumpers, which were not chromed, the taillights, the grill, and the hood. And the hood had the Javelin emblem on it, but the rest of the body did not. So these emblems you see, the 390, the Javelin, the SST, and this emblem back here, they were actually foil cast. You take a piece of aluminum foil, and I put them on top of a promo that I had bought. And you'd rub out the emblem, get it traced out, flip it over, put some super glue in it, let it dry, cut the emblem out and glue it to the body. So that's how all of these emblems have been added to this body. The front spoiler is from this Revell 69 Camaro. I just sanded the two little squares off the front. And the rear spoiler is Model Haas resin copy of the 71 to 74 Javelin AMX Johan kit. So that was copied from there. The bumpers are actually Model Haas replacements, since the rear actually says Javelin, but what Dencon provided did not have Javelin on the back, but it did have it on the front. And then the chassis is actually resin cast. I cast that myself. The engine is probably from a kit. I usually get them from the SC Rambler, that was the easiest one to find. And the wheels and tires are actually AMT. And these decals are Fred Cady. And then the mirrors are Johan as well. And then, like I said, the glass is from a promo or a kit. Somewhere along the line I picked it up. It came with vacuum formed windows. The entire interior is resin. The promo I had purchased, I had pulled it apart and made molds and cast the interior. So I had made my own mold and cast the interior. The dash, at the time, Missing Link was doing the 70 AMX, so I contacted Kevin and asked him if I can buy another dash. So the dash came from him. The steering wheel, actually I think the steering wheel might come from a kit. It's either that or it's resin from Model Haas. I don't quite remember, as I've done so many of these. And at the time, this was back in 2011, 2012 is when I built this one, or started to build it. It took a long time, and it actually taught me to go ahead and spend the money and buy the kits, either the unbuilt or buy the best build-ups you can, because by the time I had gotten the body, the glass, and all the parts, I had really spent a lot of time and money and effort doing all of that. So that's why some of my other ones, when I came across another one, so here's the engine, so you can see the detail and that I've done. It pretty much looks like a factory stock Johan kit, even though it's really hardly any, no Johan has been harmed during the building of this car. But you know, so you kind of know what's going on there. I also did a 69 Javelin, which I'll feature another time, but I did so much resin casting of the parts for so many of my builds that I ended up making full molds, and I actually offered resin kits of the 68 and 69 Javelins, SSTs, and sold them. I didn't offer the 70 kit. I didn't really see a reason to. Didn't really see much of a demand, but I had learned a lot and done a lot. So, but my motivation was those two builds, this one and the other one, building them and getting them done. But just a car I really think is great. It's scale finishes paint, by the way, with my automotive clear coat, and it is burnt orange metallic, which I had lying around, and I chose it for this car. Not exactly a stock color for it, but now I just, this one I just couldn't. I just love it, and I wanted to build this car, and I wanted to do this version. So, um, so for UCD, calling it out, it was an easy choice for me because I do wanted to feature it and go over the history of this one, as it goes so well with the other one I'm building. The other one I am restoring is an actual Johan kit, and it was mostly complete. You guys can go back and look at the videos on all of that one. And so thank you for letting this one catch your eye and dreaming over it. And you guys, I know you're going to enjoy it, so I appreciate you subscribing and tuning in and listening to me go over the history and the knowledge and stuff that I enjoy reading about these cars and sharing with you. And thank you for subscribing and tuning in. You guys have a wonderful day.